Alright guys, well another video here. This is Agne, and I've been having a lot of requests lately to continue my versus series, and for the next one to be Giant Tooth versus Slim Arch. So that's what we're going to get into today, and it's going to be an interesting topic, especially since they both have awakenings now. But before we get into that, gotta get into the usual shenanigans. This video is sponsored by Aptoid, where you can get anywhere from 5 to 40% off all in-game purchases using my code AGNE2023. A full description of how to do so, as well as a video explaining and showing exactly how to do so, will be down in the description down below, as well as a link to our YouTube channel where I do giveaways, and it's just a great community to be in. But anyway, without further ado, we'll get right into it. So like always, we're going to go through the skills of the ants first and compare and contrast between the two. And then we'll also get into the awakening of each ant. So we'll go in and go ahead and do Giant Tooth first. So like always, we're going to ignore skill 1, 3, 4, and 6 because they're all generally the same between all ants with very minor differences, if any, and that's usually only for the masters. So we'll get right into it. So for Giant Tooth, let me go down to the regular. So for Giant Tooth, has a 40% chance to deal 155 plus special ant level times 5, so 5 times 5% of 50, so it'd be right around 270-ish. Damage to one random enemy squad within effective range and exhaust them, reducing their damage by 20% for 1 round. So right there, that means that you not only are able to do a damage attack, but you're also reducing their damage by 20%. So then we'll go look at Slim Arched, and same dealio. 40% chance to deal 275% damage, plus special ant level times 5, damage to one enemy squad within effective range. So right here is the same amount of chance. The Slim Arch is going to do a little bit more damage with the skill 2. Right around, it's going to come out to about 340-ish% or so at level 50. So this is where you kind of look into what the practicality of it. So with Giant Tooth, the practicality of it right off the bat that you can see is the fact that it exhausts them and reduces the damage intake that you intake from the enemy squad, whereas this one, for their skill 2, it's just a straight damage. It's also worthy to note that that's an effective range of 2, and for the Giant Tooth, it's also an effective range of 2, making it that for the use of that skill, line 1 is going to be the best. Alright, we'll get into the next one. Okay, has a 25% chance to deal 390 plus special ant level 3%, so right around 460, 470, and damage to one random enemy squad within effective range and silence them, disabling their combat skills for 2 rounds. Okay, so that's pretty big. That is also effective range of 3, so if it's in the front line, it can hit all 3 rows. Get into the Slim Arched. Prepares for 1 round, has a 60% chance to deal 396 plus special ant level 5, damage to one enemy squad within effective range. Again, showing that's more used for damage rather than anything else, but that's a 60% chance, and that is at the base 25% chance. So if you're looking for damage, the Slim Arch is going to be the better one just because it is more damage based. But when you're looking into the utility of it, this is where Giant Tooth also shines, because now you're looking at the fact that not only are you able to silence them for 2 rounds, but you can also reduce any incoming damage by 20% for 1 round. And the other thing to note too is that with Slim Arched, with this skill, it is going to prepare for 1 round. So that means out of the 8 possible rounds, it's only going to have a possibility of firing 4 times, which greatly reduces its overall effectiveness as far as possible damage output. And we'll get into the last of the skills here. So this one is Troop Health, and this one is also troop health. Should look at this, 15% at base. And what is this one? Also 15. So that skill is the same. So nothing trumps anything on that one. And we get into the last skill. Has a 30% chance to deal 294 plus special land level times 5 damage to one enemy squad within effective range of 2, putting it best to be in the front row again. And then for Slim March, has a 30% chance to deal 241 plus special land level times 4% damage to one random enemy squad within effective range and suppress them, causing them unable to move for 1 round. So now you're finally starting to see some of the utility of this ant as far as being a good crowd control ant. The only major thing, though, that is a bit of a problem, though, is that the giant tooth is able to silence for 2 rounds and be able to also damper their damage, or the damage that you take, along the same time. So from the base skills alone, that's putting the giant tooth at the better. But now we'll get into the last aspect of this, which is their awakening. So the first part of it is triggers once per round. Giant Tooth squad has a 50% chance to deal 230 damage to an enemy squad with the lowest power. So that's on top of everything else. Then when you get to purple, has a 50% chance to inflict silence effect, unable to use combat skill for a 1 round. So again, that increases on the skill that's already existing, which is this one. So now you have yet another chance to be able to silence. And then, last but not least, increase the skill damage by dealt to a single target squad by 10%. Okay, that's good. And then I do have a full video on the Slim Arched Awakening and my thoughts on it, but we'll go in and just read them here. So, first one is healing, which, if you've seen any of my videos, I find healing absolutely useless. Chance of triggering the 8th skill plus 10%, so that will add to 40%. And then increase the damage of the 8th skill by 10% and has a 40% chance to increase the effective range by 1. Which that makes it nice because now you're able to actually hit the back row of your enemy squad. So, but which one is better? Overall, in my personal opinion, just because of the whole aspect of having a greater ability to crowd control and silence and suppress, for me, by far, I'd say it's Giant Tooth. Giant Tooth has always been one of my favorites to use. And I still think it stands true even with the new awakening for the Slim March. Now, the Slim March, with it being able to now have the increased range and the increased damage, and as well as, what was skill 2 again? Yeah, and the increased chance of it triggering, it makes it as a close second. Honestly, I kind of suspect that for some of the paid or the play to wins, or the free to plays, we're going to see a large comeback of the Giant Tooth Slim March combo, which is great to see. Which I could do another video about which I think is best in front, and whether it be Slim March or Giant Tooth Slim March, when it's applicable and when it's not. Future video idea. But overall, I highly believe that the Giant Tooth definitely is the better option of the two, given basically off of the stats that they have and just the actual gameplay I've had with them. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Ign is out, and we'll see you in the next one.